Hey there, Bruce, and welcome back. Do you remember 11? Let's just kick off where we left off, shall we? We are now reasoning that we are jumping through time and space. Let's see how that works out. I think I agree. But anyway, another transfer. They're happening a lot more frequently today. If the transfers continue to go on like this, it might really go crazy. I thought self-derisively. My throat was dry, so I unsteadily left the room to get a drink. In the kitchen, I found Yuni peeking inside the fridge. Satoru. Rushing over, he pulls on my arm. I'm so hungry. Now that he mentions it, or rather, Satoru's body is hungry too. I look around the interior of the living area. Hitori was just standing there absent-mindedly. For some reason, she was looking around the area restlessly. Was she looking for something? Utsumi was nowhere to be seen. Pouring some water into a cup, I downed it in one gulp. Where's Utsumi-san? She went outside. Huh? From the large window in the living area, I could only see the darkness of the pitch-black night. What's she doing out there at this hour? Did she tell you anything? Nope, not a word. Yuni's lips curved into a pout. She just went out there, all smiles and laughter. Hey, is the food ready yet? Just wait a sec, I'll go look for Utsumi-san. Utsumi's a good person, but it's not as if I completely trust her. Someone is after Satoru's life, and she makes the food around here, so if someone's poisoning someone, it's her. Because you don't know anything more than that about the culprit, everyone is under suspicion. I couldn't ignore any unusual behaviour. I returned to my room and pulled off my coat, then went outside. The weather out there was freezing cold. For someone to go out in the midst of such cold is really quite suspicious. Utsumi-san, I tried calling out. There was no answer. I hesitated, wondering whether I should go on searching for her. What if Utsumi was actually the culprit? My surroundings were engulfed in darkness. It'd be quite easy for her to catch me off guard. I don't really want to consider that though. What should I do? I think we should wait here. I'll try waiting in front of the entrance for the time being. Sooner or later she'll come back on her own. Curling up to keep warm, I gazed off far into the distance. But it was much too cold to sit still and wait here like this. Even while standing, the cold manages to creep in from under my feet and chill me to the core. I concluded that it would be the same whether I waited for her inside or out. However, since I'd gone and told Yuni that I'd go out and search for her, I couldn't really return without Utsumi along with me. Half obstinately, I continued to stand there. 10 minutes had probably passed. Utsumi returned, her steps light like the clouds of summer. Utsumi-san. Oh, what happened? Where'd you go off to? It was just a little something. I went to pray at the stars. Utsumi's voice as she said that was extremely careful. I wonder if something good had happened. And, as if able to read my face, Utsumi took a photograph from her breast pocket. Tomorrow's my son's birthday. Huh? So Utsumi had a child. But I haven't seen anyone like that at SPHIA. It can't be that Yuni is Utsumi's child or something ridiculous like that. Is that so? Congratulations. Thank you. What's his name? His name is Junichi. Utsumi showed me the picture. The picture was of a boy who looked slightly mischievous. A healthy-looking suntan darkened his skin. He was probably a little younger than Yuni. Looking at the camera, his entire face was lit by a smile and he was making a V sign. He's really naughty. Quite the handful. Utsumi's face as she said that was full of affection. It was the face of a mother. But ever since he got a sibling, he finally started acting like more of an older brother. Saying that, she shows me a different picture. It was a picture of a baby. This is probably taken a few months after birth. Oh, how cute. Right? Appearing truly happy, Utsumi gazed at the photograph. Alright. Tell big brother congratulations, okay? She spoke to the photograph, using baby talk. Watching her, she looked somehow pitiful. I finally knew that it's what Utsumi had come here to do. This is SPHIA. The Specified Psychiatric Hospital for Isolation and Aegis. Why was Utsumi here? Why weren't her children here with her? I think I could more or less figure it out now. That's why Utsumi was now praying for her children living life somewhere far away. Praying with all her heart for her children living underneath the same sky. It makes me want to pray too. That's what I thought. For them to be able to once again live together as mother and child, even a second sooner. Then, when I called for Utsumi to return with me to the institution, she answered, I just want to walk for a little while longer, and went off. That's why I returned to the institution alone. That day at dinner time, Okay, this is going to be an important choice. Let's be good and not eat like he told us to. I declined it. Because Satoru had told me to. At SPHIA, from now on, don't eat any of the food. There might be poison in it. Until Satoru thinks it's safe to do so, I have to bear with it. I told them I don't have much of an appetite right now and immediately returned to my room. All the stress must have been getting to me. I threw myself down onto the warm, welcoming bed, and before I knew it, I began to doze off. I lost consciousness. And wake up back in the cabin, hopefully. I prefer the cabin. Day 4. How many days are there? We must be getting closer. To being rescued, baby? Perhaps? Hopefully. I was awakened by a faint noise. I could hear the sound of the firewood burning up. I opened my eyes. New fuel had been put into the stove. Like a tongue savouring a feast, an orange blaze dances in the mouth of the stove. This is the shelter cabin. Seems I came back here before I realised it. I roused myself. From the windows, the dazzling morning light had shined in. Morning, eh? The hands of my beloved watch were pointing at 7 o'clock. He didn't take it off. Mayuzumi seemed to be still asleep. I could hear her quiet breathing. Yuni is sound asleep too. I can't eat anymore. He was saying those sorts of predictable things in his sleep. Tobilin? You ate my food, didn't you? Mumble, mumble. Don't call me Tobilin, you damn kid. They're quarrelling in their sleep. With a wry smile, I got out of bed. They're sleeping well. So then, what were those noises I heard before? I occasionally noticed that Yomogi's bed was empty. I tried touching the blankets. Cold. Where'd he go so early in the morning? Anxiously, I peered out the window. I could see his figure in front of the cabin. Putting on a coat, I too went outside. Yomogi was standing still, bathing in the morning sun. He was doing nothing, just motionlessly staring into the distance, with sorrow in his eyes. I hesitated to speak. I wonder how much time had passed. Yomogi abruptly started talking. It's in that direction. He was holding the compass Yuni had been carrying. What? My son's resting place. Today is the anniversary of his death. In a calm and very composed tone, Yomogi continued, I got on that plane because I wanted to go visit his grave, but in the end I couldn't go. I sure did a bad thing. Yomogi suddenly smiled wryly, a lonely smile. Junichi was like me. He was stubborn. He was a lot of trouble when he got mad. Junichi? That name. Where have I couldn't make it. I'm sorry, Junichi. So, his wife, I guess, is Utsumi? He clasped his hands together toward the direction of the place he said his son was resting. Standing next to him, I too clasped my hands. I closed my eyes and prayed for the happiness of Yomogi's son in the next world. I slowly opened my eyes. Yomogi lightly lowered his head. Thank you, Uyukawa-san. Thank you for praying for my son. No. At that moment, from inside the shelter, mumble, mumble, we heard Yuni talking in his sleep. Yomogi's face was lit by a fatherly smile. If my son was still alive, he'd be around Yuni's age. Is that so? I thought I should be indiscreet, but I ended up asking instinctively. Your son, how... Yeah, I guess I may as well tell you about it. Yomogi took out a cigarette and lit it with the usual lighter. The smell of lighter fuel tickles my nose. While gazing toward the direction where his son rests, he started talking. Junichi's birthday was near. I decided to buy him that new bicycle he wanted. Junichi was so glad. Thank you, Dad, he repeated in that gratitude so many times. Yomogi exhaled cigarette smoke. I didn't think he would be so happy. The white smoke shone in the morning sun. I don't know if it's because his reflexes were especially good, but of all the neighbourhood kids, he was the first to get his training wheels off. With just a little practice, he was able to ride a bike. This is still a story from when he was in kindergarten, I think. Sensing the sadness in that proud voice, I nodded, That's amazing. Yeah, I was sure that child would become even greater mountaineer than me. And ever since then, Junichi got crazy about bicycles. It made him so happy, being the first of his friends to take off the training wheels. That's why on his birthday I got him a new bike. A mountain bike with all the gears. I bought it for him. But the bike was no good. I should never have bought him such a thing. Closing his eyes, he slowly shook his head, regret filling his face. Junichi, in high spirits over his new bike, had a fall. No way, that was the accident that... No, simply a bone fracture of the leg. Since it was possible that he'd hit his head, he was hospitalized just in case. He was supposed to come back the next day full of energy. Yomogi opened his eyes and looked at me. To me, it seemed he was holding down his anger by force. The serial killer lady killed him. Right? fucking Inubushi Kaiko or whatever fucking name is. She killed him. Yeah, he was supposed to come back. But Junichi, there... Huh? Yomogi averted his eyes. Then he uttered only this. He was killed in the hospital. Killed? Yeah. And then from his mouth came the name I knew so well. By a girl called Inubushi Kaiko. My breath caught in my throat. Killed by Inubushi Kaiko? The son of Yomogi, Junichi-kun. In Awazumi Municipal Hospital by Inubushi Kaiko. I tried to recall the file. Certainly, among the victims there was an elementary school kid who would have been around Yuni's age, if alive. That was... An icy wind suddenly blew across a snowy field. Did I tremble because of the wind or because of the truth I just heard? No, that's not it. I killed him. Indirectly. If only I hadn't brought him that gift. He threw away a cigarette, crushing it in vexation. Not only that, he was afraid of being hospitalized alone. Since it was just for one day. If only I'd stayed with him. If only. If only. Yomogi trampled on the cigarette many, many times. Venting the anger he couldn't suppress many, many times. In the end, it seemed the waves of emotions overwhelmed him. His features began to change. That wasn't the Yomogi of just a little while ago, but surely the personified rage and despair of a parent who had killed his son. I was troubled over what I should say, and in the end, all I could say were trite words. Even though I knew that no kind words would comfort him. Yomogi-san, it's not your fault. Was Yomogi ashamed of that I'd seen him angry? He stopped, and a fleeting smile crossed his face. Sorry. Then Yomogi muttered as if speaking to himself. Because of this, things with Kali turned bad too. Kali? Hearing the familiar name, I involuntarily asked again. No, she's my wife. She was such a doting mother. She was unable to come to terms with the death of her beloved son. It broke her heart. So they shipped her to a mental institution, right? Since I, too, kept blaming myself, things between us just became awkward. She was so heartsick that she had to be hospitalized, but I wanted to go with her to the grave today. So I was going to visit her at the hospital. But this is how that turned out. Sneering, Yomogi looked around the scenery, as though it were the situation he had found himself in surrounding him. It's a bit ironic that she ended up in the same hospital as the person who killed her son. At the scenery, considering there's only 4 people there, at the scenery of the shelter cabin shut away in the snow. Life doesn't always go your way. The name Kali, and the hospital for mental illnesses. It made me feel uneasy, though I hesitated at first. I asked him, by any chance is your wife's surname Utsumi-san? Yomogi opened his eyes in surprise. Yeah, that's exactly it, but how did you... I see. Was it written in that file? Yomogi nodded, agreeing with himself. The truth is I came across her in SPHIA, but let's not go into that. I hesitated to burden Yomogi, who was still grieving for his son, with the story of the strange phenomenon. Her surname is different. Yeah. When we first got married, Kali took the name Yomogi. But you know, in 2008, the dual surname system was approved, right? Yes, it was. I faintly recall the talk I had with Yuni about the dual surnames. Kali was a self-reliant woman, both economically and emotionally. That's why at the time I decided that instead of forcing her to call herself Yomogi, I'd let her choose the surname she wanted. And she chose to return to her original family name of Utsumi. She's of mixed race, so she was attached to the Japanese name Utsumi. Yomogi slapped his face with both hands. Now then. Saying that, Yomogi sighed, picked up a handful of snow and used it to wash his face, scrubbing at it over and over again. Our supplies are scarce. We'll most likely run out of firewood and rations before long. We'll have to talk about what we're going to do now too. Now time to be down in the dumps. No time to be down in the dumps. Yomogi-san, let's go back to the cabin. We'll get cold. Yomogi pushed at my back and entered the cabin. His expression had gone back to normal, like it was already nothing. But still, I caught sight of them. The small tears suspended in Yomogi's eyes. Returning to the cabin, Yomogi first took out a satellite phone and dialed somewhere. He most likely wanted to try it one more time, in the hopes that by some slight chance it would work. No good? Muttering in annoyance, Yomogi lowered the phone. It didn't connect as I expected. Now that it's come to this, there's no other choice. Yomogi looked at over his surroundings. Get everyone together for me. There's something important we need to talk about. He said this with a serious face. And? Mayuzumi, wrapped up in a blanket in front of the stove as usual, said this in a disappointed voice. So in conclusion, what are you trying to say? It's just as I explained it. From now on, we're going to be rationing as much as possible. As our supplies were becoming limited, Yomogi started discussing what we should do from this point on. Yuni, still half asleep, was looking at us drowsily, and Mayuzumi was being as defiant as always. Even so, Yomogi patiently continued his explanation. According to him, the current situation required us to be quite stringent. All the firewood that had already been split, and it was doubtful that it would last until nightfall. And if we continued to keep the lantern turned on all day like we had before, it would run out of fuel by tomorrow. Our remaining food supply was more serious. We'd already reached the bottom of our freeze-dried food, and all that was left was literally emergency rations. Specifically, there were only 2 cans of hardtack and 1 bar of chocolate remaining. That was it. From there, Yomogi began proposing ways we could start rationing our remaining supplies. I became anxious. What Yomogi's suggesting is probably right, but it's still this cold, even when we're using the stove. If we turn it off, just what kind of cold will we have to bear? Moreover, we have a physically weak child in this cabin. In other words, you're telling us to die. Mayuzumi made a cynical remark. So that we can ration it, you want us to leave our remaining food and fuel here unused while we freeze to death. Mayuzumi, please understand. There's no way I could. We might be rescued tomorrow for all we know. Or we might still not be rescued after a week. As Mayuzumi swallowed her words in irritation, Yomogi talked to her in a calm tone. I thought the rescue team would arrive faster too. That's why we've been keeping our rationing to a minimum until now. It was a plane crash after all. After communications was severed, they would have organised and carried out a large-scale search and rescue mission. But even so, the rescue team hasn't come yet. It's possible that some obstruction occurred and the rescue team isn't able to find us. I mean, it's still snowing out there, right? What do you mean obstruction? That I don't know. But in any case, we should start preparing for the worst. In this situation, the worst would be the rescue team's arrival being delayed even further. We should do what we have to, for the 4 people here to survive as long as possible. That's what I'm trying to say. Mayuzumi had no rebuttal for that. Clucking her tongue once softly, she fell silent. It's useless. Yuni suddenly mumbled. Huh? We're gonna die. He muttered disinterestedly, as if he was some transcendent being. Again, Yuni's talking strangely. Goosebumps started forming on my arms. It really felt like there was something strange in Yuni's behaviour. 3 days from now, on January 17th. Hey Yuni, why do you say that? I couldn't help but ask, and then Yuni smiled unpleasantly. Because it was written in the newspaper. He was talking about the fake newspaper dated June 4th. What? So that's what you meant. Yomogi smiled bitterly and let out a laugh mingled with a sigh. On the other hand, Mayuzumi's eyebrow twitched. I don't have time to go along with some brat's stupid joke. I'm not joking. It was written in the newspaper, right? Yeah, good children should stay quiet. Whatever. Yuni's lips formed a pout and he turned away in sudden displeasure. Yomogi cleared his throat once in order to change the atmosphere. Well, returning to the subject at hand, in regards to the food supply in particular, it'd be bad if there was any trouble over it. I've been thinking that I should manage it. I'll ration and distribute the remaining food, keeping our individual physical condition in mind. On hearing that, a scoff escaped Mayuzumi's lips, and she sneered at Yomogi. Oh, I see, so that's it. What? You're planning on monopolising it yourself, aren't you? Huh? Don't play dumb. After you become the manager, you're planning on secretly eating it by yourself, aren't you? Without passing anything out to us. Then of course you'd say, I want to manage it. I want to manage it too. The message underlying your tone was clear. Don't screw with me. How'd you arrive at that conclusion? As expected, Yomogi returned a glare. It was a sharp look. I would never have imagined it coming from the normally light-hearted Yomogi. Mayuzumi was pushed back by the intensity as well. What? I've already seen through everything. Don't be so proud of putting yourself in charge. I'm the leader here. I'll have you follow me too. Don't just decide that for yourself. When and by whom was that decided? The one who has the most mountaineering experience is me. I'm also the strongest. What other reason do I need? No way in hell, I won't let you have everything your way. Mayuzumi really has the vigor to counter Yomogi at any given time. I can't do anything but watch over them nervously. That's what I thought, but all of a sudden... You think so too, right? Mayuzumi touched on the matter in a different way. Huh? Don't just say huh. God, that cute little lady act. You just gonna let this guy do whatever he wants? Yomogi looked at me. As if intending to decide who was in the right by majority rule, they waited for me to speak. Obviously Yomogi's in the right. Duh. Didn't take a genius to figure that one out. I think Yomogi is right. If we want to be saved, we should do as Yomogi says. A snort of discontent came from Mayuzumi's nose. What the hell? Are you trying to say that I should make nice with this guy? I thought so since before, but you and he sure are close, aren't you? Are you two doing it? Mayuzumi-san, even if you're upset, that was rude. Shut it. Mayuzumi didn't intend to listen to my words. The two of you are always scheming together. What are you planning? It's no good. Being driven into a corner in such a dire situation, Mayuzumi was beginning to see suspicious goings-ons everywhere. She won't believe anyone now. Like this, whatever we say will be useless. Mayuzumi, calm down. If you continue with that attitude of yours, I'll have to use appropriate measures to stop you. Mayuzumi gulped and began to tremble. Turning blue, she took a step back. What do you mean? You gonna kill me? With a disturbingly unusual atmosphere for him, Yomogi took a single step towards Mayuzumi. An alarm went off inside my heart. There's no way you would, I thought, but Yomogi, what are you... I said it before too. On a snowy mountain, if even a single person acts selfishly, they'll lead the entire team to their death. If you keep on acting like such an idiot, to protect the team, I'll throw you away without a second thought. Is that a threat? It's not a threat. It's a rule. Quietly, from the feeling of forcible oppression hanging in the air, I felt the vaguest sense of something terrible in Yomogi. If he was seriously planning on executing the rule he just mentioned, I won't be able to oppose him either. Because there was nothing that would keep him from enforcing this rule against Mayuzumi. Cut the crap. Without noticing my anxiety at all, Mayuzumi exploded. You're the most dangerous one here, aren't you? Her face flushed crimson. She clings on to the same argument recklessly. Oh, wrong button. Her thin hand struck Yomogi's broad chest. The moment Yomogi staggers, a cup on the table falls with a loud noise. The chilled coffee in it was thrown to the floor. Stop it. No fighting. This is bad. Like this, things between us will only get more and more awkward. Even though the team's harmony is essential for survival, I don't think we should stop her physically. Plus, she might kick our ass. Shout. Please stop it, I shouted. However, the blood had rushed to her head and Mayuzumi refused to stop. She made a grab for Yomogi. Stop it already. If you get injured here, it's all over, right? Yuni clung to Mayuzumi's waist. You're in the way, you brat. She easily shook him off. Stumbling, Yuni slammed into the table. Shaken by the impact, the can of biscuits was knocked over and rolled onto the floor. The can compressed and the lid popped open. Everyone had swallowed their breath. We thought that the food had spilled. However, there was only a crack in the lid. The contents were still safe. Mayuzumi glared at Yuni and spat out stinging words. Isn't it because of Yuni our food supply is in this terrible state? Grabbing Yuni by the collar, Mayuzumi silently approached Yomogi. In a flash, Yomogi's hand moved and slapped Mayuzumi across the cheek. Mayuzumi's movements came to a stop. Quietly, I took a peek at Mayuzumi's facial expression. Pressing a hand to her reddened cheek, Mayuzumi stands there, dumbfounded. I'm sorry. While staring at the hand that he slapped her with, Yomogi apologized. However, he continues in a strong tone. But please stop being so selfish in times like this. Our lives are at risk. Frustrated, she bit her lip and turned her face away. Just like that, she quietly walked toward the bed and wrapped herself up, her back to us. Shit. Mayuzumi's shoulders trembled. Please understand, Mayuzumi. I'm saying this with all of you in mind. In the end, the management of the food supply was entrusted to Yomogi. As for me, I didn't really intend to object. Yomogi's an expert on handling snowy mountains, so entrusting this to him should be the best choice. If we follow him, the chances of us surviving will be higher. I told myself that. But something is giving me a vague sense of unease. Why is it? I look over my surroundings. His face grim, Yomogi's stare was fixed on the blaze as he stirred the flames inside the stove. Yuni was crying, trying to stifle his sobs. His teddy bear, clutched in his arms, creaked as though crying together with him. And Mayuzumi, with her back to us, had covered herself with a blanket from her head down. The blanket faintly trembled. It was a savage, unbearable atmosphere. Although it had never been perfect, the situation that had more or less been alright until now had suddenly gone to hell. In such a state, are we really gonna survive and return alive? Probably not. Please. I closed my eyes and prayed. Please, somebody hurry and save us. Afterward. Yomogi broke the table with an axe. The stockpile of food in the storeroom had finally run out. The table, which we'd placed food on and eaten at several times before, was being transformed into firewood. It's kinda sad. I nod at Yuni's words, but there's no other choice if we want to live. Yomogi piled the broken table in front of the stove. Even if we use the table and all the shelves as firewood, I wonder if it'll last us until tomorrow morning. Mayuzumi, who had only ever sat around in bed and given out orders, let out a shrill scream. What do you mean? There are trees growing outside, aren't there? Go and chop them down. As if we could burn green wood like that. If we tried to burn them, we'd die anyway from all the smoke. Then what are we going to do? There's nothing we can do except the rationing that you hate so much. After food, it's fuel. Having had enough quarrelling, I was afraid Mayuzumi was about to get angry. However, Mayuzumi didn't complain any further, instead choosing to wrap herself up in her blanket. It was bright outside the window. It was more or less warmer than night, because the sun was still shining. However, when night falls, this mountain will become hell. Yomogi had said so. You know, I'm not trying to threaten you, but without exaggerating, a snowy mountain is truly a Grim Reaper. The Grim Reaper is waiting outside the cabin with his scythe in hand. With night coming on, with the fire on the verge of burning out, with our physical strength running short, we got one more night to live. Pretty much. After that, several hours passed. We're going back again. Where the hell are we now? Before I knew it, I was kneeling atop the snow. This was SPHIA. I was at the wall that surrounded SPHIA. Looks like I jumped again. I could see Utsumi's back going further away from a distance. She was walking toward the building. What was Satoru doing out here with Utsumi? Cold. I want to return to my room quickly. I stood up and ran to catch up to Utsumi. Utsumi-san, please wait. If you're going back, then let's return together. Utsumi suddenly stopped walking and turned around. My heart stopped. There was nothing that could be called an expression on her face. She looked at me with eyes that appeared they were staring at a rock that had rolled onto the side of the road. I've never seen Utsumi like this before. Just what did Satoru do? What? Are you still going to get in the way? Get in the way? What's she talking about? If that's how you're going to be, I have a few ideas of my own. I wasn't planning on giving you any trouble, but her voice had a sinister resonance, as if resounding from the bottom of hell itself. What do you mean, get in the way? Please, wait a minute. I don't know what... Did something happen with Satoru? Like a fight, or... Utsumi narrowed her eyes and stared at me. That tone. Uyukawa-san. Huh? Yes, that's right. I see. Is that so? Utsumi's expression softened. I was a little bit relieved. And at the same time, doubts crossed my mind once again. Did something happen with Satoru? I repeated my question from before. No, it's nothing. Nothing happened here at all. Come on, let's go back. If we stay here too long, we'll catch colds. Utsumi pushed my back and urged me to return to my room. Utsumi and I walked shoulder to shoulder. During that time, we didn't speak. For some reason, an awkward atmosphere was flowing between us. As I thought, something did happen after all. But I couldn't ask what it was. Somehow I felt it was a very private matter. That's why I tried to change the subject. What is it? Are you married, Utsumi-san? After an almost lonely expression crossed her face, I was. However, my husband is gone now. If it's not too much of an inconvenience, can I ask what kind of husband he was? He was an extremely kind person, but a strong one too. He was a mountaineer, but he himself was a man as broad and deep as a mountain. A mountaineer, huh? As I thought, Utsumi and Yomogi were married. If you really are Fuyukawa Kokoro-san, you may have met him already. Because Seiji died in that airplane accident. I have met him. I'm still talking with him even now. I felt I could tell her that. However, that would have only brought her sadness. I tried asking something else. Did you love your husband? No. Utsumi slowly shook her head. It would be wrong to say that I loved him. I still love him now. She said it so painfully, but her face once again broke into a warm smile. I'm sorry. Talking about such a dark subject. No, I'm the one that was meddling. I'm sorry. Utsumi wrapped her arms around my head and hugged me. As if embracing her own child, a strong and gentle embrace. Utsumi's scent was soft and sweet, making me feel dizzy. After letting go of my body, Utsumi's tone became cheerful, as if her mood had improved. That's right. You should let some fresh air circulate in your room. It may be cold, but it would be bad if you didn't ventilate once in a while. Even if the air purifier is functioning correctly, you need new air as well. I understand. I'll do that when I return. Yes. We were in front of the entrance before I knew it. Well then. So saying, Utsumi's figure disappeared ahead into the building. At that moment, I finally noticed that for some reason Utsumi was barefoot. Frostbitten by the cold snow, her ankle was swelling and turned a deep red. Something was happening. Somewhere that I didn't know about. I just had that feeling. And with that, we're out of time for this episode. That's very interesting. Well, now we're starting to see some connections between them all, and I think we might be getting close to some kind of resolution, because I don't know how much longer we're going to survive in that cabin. Anyway, we will see. Thanks for watching, Bruce, and I'll see you in the next one.